Alright, so tonight we're going to talk about our freshwater system. We've done a couple of these videos that just kind of, walks you through our setup on various systems of the RV, and they seem to have, gotten some pretty good results. So this is the next one. So for this video, we're going to walk through how we keep our water setup stored in the truck, what we use, how it's kind of evolved over time, and why we landed on the setup we've got right now. So let's get started. So first up, here's how we have our system stored. It sits in the back of the truck. We use these yellow bins from Lowe's or Home Depot. They stack up nice and they hold all our stuff. And with the topper, we can get to them from the outside, which makes it really nice. So this is our freshwater tub, and the system's already set up, so all the big stuff's already over there. But inside here, we've just got some spare parts, spare fittings in case we might need them, a spare hose, and we'll go through some more what's in here a little bit later. But for now, let's get started on the big stuff. First thing connected to the spigot at the campground is going to be our water pressure regulator. We opted for an adjustable one, lets us fine tune our pressure a little bit. And we also run a screen. It just helps catch any of the big particles before it gets down the line and has a chance to mess some stuff up. But going from here, we have a Y splitter that we can run our freshwater hose off of. And the other side, which has a vacuum breaker on it to prevent any water from backing up, is where we connect our black water flush or anything we're using for like non-potable water. So if we've got to hose something off that gets really nasty or whatever out here, we can use this side. Both of them allow us to turn water on and off really quickly and easily. That way when we're leaving the rig, we can just shut it off and not have to worry about if a hose breaks or something happens inside the rig. We're not going to flood anything, so it's going to stay out here. As for the hoses we use, the main hose we run from the spigot to our filter is one of the 0G hoses. They're really lightweight, they collapse down nice and small. We have a 25 footer that we use primarily, but we also carry a 50 footer as a spare, or to give us a total of 75 feet if we're really far away from a water source. And again, because it packs down so nicely, it makes it easy to carry that big spare. We actually use these same hoses in the same configuration, a 25 and a 50 footer, for our black tank flush as well. We keep them completely separate and they're marked so we can tell them apart. They work really nice, so can't knock them. I've seen recently they have come out with some new RV or marine branded hoses. I think they're blue braided sheaths. Haven't tried one yet, but we've had this one for over 2 years and it's still going really strong for us, so I can't knock it. So we'll move on down the line and check out our filter and on into the rig. At the rig, we've got our hose coming into our dual filter setup. So we've opted to go with the Evo X2 system from Camco, but really there's a ton of these on the market made by different manufacturers. There's single canister, dual canister, and 3 canister versions. And the nice part is, this one uses standard 10-inch filters, so we can run any filter we want inside these. It's just Camco's the one who made this outer housing. And it uses a 5 micron pre-filter to take care of, big grit that makes it past the screen at the start, and that'll filter out some chlorine taste and some big offenders. And then it moves into the 0.5 micron filter, which takes care of kind of the nastier stuff. And from there it exits out into this one we're just using a Camco Evo Flex leader hose. It's just kind of nice, soft, supple. It's not that long because we don't need it to be, and it runs out of the filter up to a 90-degree brass elbow that we've got connected to the rig. And that elbow just helps keep the stress off the hose, so we're not trying to come in at a steep angle and bending the hose over. And typically this is where this guy lives when we're at camp. It just kind of sits here by the tires. If I can keep it in the shade, even better. Try to keep the hose in the shade too, just to keep it from getting really heated up from the sun. When we break camp, I'll try to drain these as best I can so I'm not carrying around the extra weight of the water, but I don't go as far as to crack these filter housings and really dump the water out. I'll just undo the hoses, turn it to one side, let it drain out, turn it to the other side, let it drain out, and then I've just got this cap and this plug that I've just attached here, and that way I can seal this off when it goes into the crate, so any water that's left in it stays in it and doesn't drain into the tote. Looking through here, I have 3 spare brass 90s. Probably don't need that many, but I got them. All right, so back to the tote with our spare parts. Some of the stuff we've got in here, we've got just this little filler nozzle with a shutoff. This works great for when we've got to fill our freshwater tank, because I can just slip this in, turn it on, and walk away and let it run. I don't have to sit there and hold it. And you know, I'm all for making stuff up, but honestly, I think this thing was cheaper than I could buy the parts for in a valve. So, got that. Got spare vacuum breaker. We've been at a couple campsites that have wanted vacuum breakers to be run, but theirs were faulty, and I'll just take theirs off, throw mine on, and use that in the meantime, and then take it with me when I leave. These are the spare washers with filters. Those always come in handy. Spray nozzle for hosing stuff off, washing the rig, things like that. Filter wrench for the filters. We've got our spare 50-foot hose in here. 4-way splitter in case we really got to share water with some people. And that's pretty much it. So when we first got started on the road, our water filtration system was a little different. We had just one of those like blue, Camco like bullets that goes on the hose, and those filter out like 20 microns, which, it's better than nothing. It's not a ton, but we had that at the rig, and then inside we had just like a Brita water filter that we would, run the faucet into the Brita and just leave it sitting out on the countertop so we had, water to drink. So over time we realized we wanted to free up that counter space, get rid of that pitcher. So we started looking at other options, decided to go with one of the canister style, and found this one at a store near where we were staying one time, and just went ahead and picked it up. By moving to it, like I said, got rid of the Brita filter, and now all the water that comes into our rig is filtered. And that way, whether we're drinking the water out of the faucet, we're washing dishes, we're taking showers, all that water's filtered. So it has really helped go a long way with keeping our aerators clean, and just keeping some of the buildup down at the faucets. When we break camp and we're putting water in the freshwater tank, we add it right from the filter as well, using that little adapter I showed, and that way the water going into the tank's filtered, because when we're dry camping, we drink the water in our tanks. We don't carry extra water. Drink the water in the fresh tank, not other tanks. Going back to the fresh tank, and I'm just rattling this stuff off the top of my head so I can cut it back into the video somewhere later. Got some tips there on how we sanitize our fresh tank, and if you would like to see a video on that as well, go ahead and mention that in the comments, and maybe we'll do that the next time we break out the gear to sanitize our tanks. A couple other things I can't think of right now, but I'll go ahead and I'll put links to all this stuff in the description. And if you like this type of content, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. It helps us out. With our setup, we're full-time, so our filters, they're getting used pretty much all the time. So we just get on a schedule. I've got a reminder set, and every 3 months I change the filters. I usually keep 1 month with us, and then order, when I use those, I'll order 2 more filters from Amazon and have them ready to go. One thing to consider is if you're not full-time, it can get a little trickier as far as how you're gonna deal with your filters when you're not camping and you're storing your rig. I guess at least in the case of these canister style filters, it's a lot easier when you're done for the season or you're done for a while. You can crack that filter open, pull the actual filter media out, let it dry really good, and then be prepared to use it again the next time you go out. Versus some of those little blue inline filters, you can't really once you start using them, you're kind of using them until they're done, or until you toss it, because they don't really store well. I don't know that I'd want to put it in storage for a couple of months and pull it back out and feel good about the water coming out of it. So just something to keep in mind. I don't know what else. I'm good. Cut.